Hi, Mike Pelonzi here, back with another episode of Safe and Sound. It's a new year, the end of March, sun is shining, 55 degrees out, awesome time of year. So today I'm going to talk about safety in the yard. The snow's melted, grass is starting to show, we're all looking out in the yard, we're all thinking the same thing. Yard's going to be awesome this year. We're going to get the landscaping done, get the tools out, sharpen a few things. Everyone's all excited about this time, so am I. But sometimes our ambitions exceed our abilities. And I'm going to talk about some incredible stats that you won't believe are true when I tell you about injuries and unfortunately some deaths that occur every year in the summer while people are out there landscaping. So this time of year, all our indoor projects are put on the back burner. You know, it's a busy time of year. We're outdoors, sports are coming, spring sports are coming, everyone's great. So we always put our indoor projects on the back burner, you know, leaky faucets, squeaky doors, maybe that room that we were gonna paint in December, then the holidays were here, and we're gonna do it in January afterwards. And just life gets in the way, next thing you know, end of March, we're outdoors. So I want to go over a few things that people will have already in place, and I'm going to give you some other things on top of that. So one thing what we forget this time of year is we've just spent the whole winter inside our homes. And yard work, although not difficult, comes with a set of movements that we don't normally do for 4, 5, 6 months. Stretching over our heads constantly, lifting things up, moving things, twisting at bad angles. None of us are really doing any of those movements all winter. And none of us, all with our best ambitions, expectations, we're going to stretch out, maybe we're going to hit the gym. We all know how that ends up. We do not. And I'm right there with you. I said to my wife today, you know what, Monday, I'm hitting the gym again. And I will. So bending over, twisting, not picking up things properly. And I'm going to start with the backbreaker. And what is the backbreaker? If any of you have friends who go to the chiropractor, have chiropractors as friends, ask them what's the one thing they see this time of year. You know, shoveling, twisting is one thing really common, but the backbreaker. People go to move that rock. They think the rock is loose, it's not in, maybe it's still a little frozen, depending how ambitious you are. You go to pick it up, it doesn't move, you tweak your back, you twist your back. Now you're into chiropractic care, maybe some physical therapy care. We all get that lidocaine patch on our back. Advil, we talk ourselves out of a serious injury. It's not going to be serious, it's going to be good in the morning. Just take a few Advil. So you always want to check your rocks before you pick them up. Just take a shovel. I don't recommend kicking it because if you kick it, you could hurt your ankle, break a toe. I actually know someone who did that. Didn't have the right footwear on, which I'm going to talk about. Kicked a rock that he was going to move in his yard. It was frozen still. Sunny day, but it didn't reach down below the frost line and broke his big toe. Not a great way to start our summer with a broken toe or a sprained ankle or any serious cuts. So just take a shovel, pickaxe, hit the rock, make sure you see movement, then pick it up. Here's some stats. Every year while mowing the grass, cutting a branch, or power washing a deck, 100 people in America die from those activities. On top of that, 143,000 are injured doing yard work every summer in America. So that number was pretty big to me, and I said, I want to break this down. I did a little more research. Here's what we have. 127,000 people are injured while mowing the lawn. In 2019, there were 775,000 injuries related to housework and home improvement projects. 300,000 were related to yard work. The most common injuries in the yard: eye injuries, head injuries, upper body fractures, finger lacerations, and injured back. So the numbers are there, they don't lie. We get up there and we may overextend our body's abilities. So a few precautions. Everyone knows about minimizing injuries. Let's start with footwear, all right? We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Footwear, it's springtime. Things have changed from last summer. I know everyone likes to go out in their sneakers, favorite shoes, do yard work. I get it's comfortable. The first couple times, especially your initial cleanup, get a pair of work boots, preferably with steel toes. I'm not telling you in July you're going to need to be wearing steel toe boots. I know the reality, not many people are going to do it. But this time of year, twigs have fallen, maybe this piece of metal for whatever reason come out, especially if you live on a busy street, plows kick things up, make their way to our yards. Again, broken toes, sprained ankles, broken ankles, which are more serious. No one wants to start our summer off with that, any injuries. Moving on to our pants. Everyone loves to wear shorts. I wear shorts all summer, I get it. Again, this time of year, just a pair of pants. Light pants in the summertime, something to give you some protection, more from something sticking up or you're going through some trees or a twig, that could cut your leg. Wear long pants instead of shorts, especially this time of year. Once you get everything squared away and you're pretty confident nothing bad's going to happen, I get it. We're all going to be those favorite shoes, sneakers, shorts. But for now, let's gear up with some PPP. Sorry, that was supposed to be PPE, personal protection equipment. All right, so now we've gone to the legs. Let's go to the shirt. Long sleeve shirts. Again, protect yourself not only from twigs and branches, but also the sun. Sunburns are very prevalent this time of year and coming up, and a lot of people go, believe it or not, to the emergency room with severe sunburns. And I'm going to tell you the one spot in the body people neglect in a minute. So you're going to wear long sleeve shirts. Let's protect our hands. Now, two types of gloves that I always tell people to do. My yard, I get so many thorn bushes. I had to up it to one of these, stab-proof, cut-proof, long end for the forearm so I can cut thorny bushes, won't go through and won't get cut. If you don't have that, just basic dirt, rock, always just wear a pair of basic gloves. It'll keep you from getting cut, but more importantly, if you get cut, it'll keep that cut from being infected from dirt or rocks. And then there's splinters. We all know what a pain splinters are, and they actually have specific splinter tweezers that you may want to keep on hand because inevitably we all get them. It can even be from an old rake handle. So now we have our gloves. After that, we're going to talk about the head. Two kinds of ball caps. A ball cap, we all know, or the boonie hat, which has a big brim. If you're susceptible, you may be a little balding, you want to wear a hat out in the sun, you don't want to get burned on the head and cause you problems later on. Eye protection, ear protection. Listen, we get one set of eyes. I cannot tell you. As a matter of eye injuries were one of that top 300,000 injuries I mentioned. Eye protection, any basic eye protection will work. I like the ones that the side protection because inevitably, if we're bending over, that branch comes around, hits on the side of the head. We want some eye protection. Some sunglasses have that as well. I like the clear glasses, just so you can see more doing yard work. All right, so now we protect our eyes. Let's talk about power tools. Power tools damage anything over 85 decibels can do damage to your ears. The average gas-powered lawnmower is 90 decibels. So we have been doing damage to our ears every time we mow the lawn at 90 plus decibels. Nothing fancy. A basic pair of head protection, hearing protection will do well. I know they sell some with the microphones in it so you can hear around. It'll shut off when you run the lawnmower. Or what I see a lot of guys out there doing, especially landscapers, they have the little antenna. They listen to music while they're doing the yard work. As long as you're wearing something on your ears, you want to protect your ears at all costs, not only for loss of hearing, but also with tinnitus, the constant ringing ears. I know people have that. I am fortunate, knock on wood, as you know I've been doing firearm instruction for 27 years, and I managed to, and I double up a lot, soft ear protection with the headphones, not to do damage to my eardrums. But some of my friends do have tinnitus, and it's really aggravating. It bothers them a lot. So we don't want to introduce that into our lives. So just wear some hearing protection for your ears. All right, so that's power tools. You'll have a noise level chart. Let's talk about the sunscreen. What is the one part people neglect? And everyone says, oh, my hands, my arms. It is not. It is the back of your neck. People are getting first and second degree burns in the dead of summer on the back of their neck. Just put sunscreen on there, sunblock. Be aware, and there is a chart right there. The UV index will give you what's going on, tells you how long and what you should wear. As you see, 0 to 2, there's no danger. 3 to 5, little danger, wear the hat. Always use some SP 15 or more, and then we get the higher levels, the high risk harm, 6, 7. And look at the minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. If you get up to 8, 10, 11 plus, that's, July, August, take all precautions, less than 15 minutes, you can start burn. Now, how long are we out in the yards for? The other day I was out there for almost 3 hours clearing, raking leaves and clearing brush. So be aware of that. It's a serious health risk that you want to avoid. I know we all go to the beach and we like the sun, but sometimes too much sun is not a good thing. Okay. Let's talk about noise. Let's go back to noise. We've covered clothing, sunblock. We talked about the back of the neck. Let's talk about the noise level that we have a chart for, and you will see it, 85 decibels. There it is, 85 decibels. You can see the lawnmower, average gas power lawnmower is at 90, that one's at 100. Chainsaws, loud noises, they're all above that 85 decibels. Can't stress enough, iron ear protection out in the yard. And I know a lot of young guys don't do it, they're invincible, I get it. But you want to save that for later on in life. So protect your eyes and ears. Okay. Now you've done everything you can do. Hat, you're out there. Let's talk about some other things that happen. It happens, accidents happen. No one plans on cutting themselves. So I want to talk about some things you can keep on hand. We all know Band-Aids, good to have in your back pocket. I always tell people, listen, keep some large gauze pad, surgical dressing, couple of rolling bandages, large gauze pads. Keep a few of these in a little bag. Put it in your shed, in your garage, wherever you keep your tools. The last thing you want to do is, if you cut yourself, have to run through the yard, holding your hand, holding your arm, bleeding, running in the house trying to find things. Even the smallest cut, as we know, can make a big mess. Here's another picture that you're seeing. This is someone who did not use gloves, any protective gloves. This person, she was in her garden, small garden by the side of the house, was pulling just weeds out of the garden, trying to get ready for this year. And she just sliced her hand, she pulled it up, the weed didn't move, it was stuck in there deeper than she thought. And that resulted in a trip to the emergency room with 5 stitches. So what happens? Serious bleeding, if you are bleeding and you can't control it. Grab any bandage you have, all right? And obviously, I don't tell you this, you're gonna put it on your arm. Most people cut themselves in their arms and hand. Put it on the arm. Pressure and time will stop the bleeding. If it starts to seep through, what you wanna do is take another one, put it on top. So we have one, it's seeping through. Put another one on. This indication you have some blood loss and some blood flow going on. you're going to want to address this, probably end up going to the emergency room, get some stitches like the last slide you saw. Now, here's a mistake people make when it comes to basic first aid. It starts to seep through the second bandage. Never take the first bandage off. You always leave the first bandage on. Even if it's blood soaked, that's fine. Leave it on. You do not want to expose that area that's bleeding. Take another fresh bandage, put it on top. Now you have two bandages holding it tight. The reason you don't keep piling on bandage after bandage is pressure and time, and that's how we stop bleeding. Pressure and time is pressure, how much pressure you can get on it. You may have to put it against a firm object, like a bench or a table. Obviously, if you're out in the yard, you're going to have to go somewhere, so you can just put it on there because why? We have these accessible with our tools. We can even put our thumb right over where we think and just go to inside the house, get some help, maybe have someone drive you to the emergency room. So I always tell people, keep a few of these in a bag, in your tools, where you're doing yard work. The last thing you want to do is start running through your house looking for a Band-Aid. And we all have done that, trying to find the Band-Aids. Didn't we just buy Band-Aids? Where are they? Nope, they're not downstairs, they're upstairs. Now you're bleeding, it's dripping all over the floor as you're trying to find Band-Aids. Again, I like the rolling ones. Surgical dressings are great. So hopefully you don't have that, but I think we're all going to get a small cut here and there this summer. So hopefully you keep these handy. Okay. Let's shift gears. You, for whatever reason, fell, you sprained your ankle. I'm going to show you how to put a bandage on. There's going to be a chart coming up. And I like the ACE bandages where they're self-adhesive. I mean, we didn't have these many years ago. We had these plastic metal clips that didn't adhere to it. These, you can just wrap around yourself on your leg, come around, bring it up, and it will self-adhere to itself. You just have to get enough to self-adhere. As you see, this can be kind of a problem if you're alone. And there you go. All right, so I got it. You just wrap it around. Some of these on the back of the packs have the way to do it, how to wrap your ankle. Again, there'll be a chart up to show you how you wrap your ankle. And then once you have it wrapped properly, we go to what's called the Rice method. And what is the Rice method? For any of us who played sports, we know it is rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Avoid the activity you're doing. Apply ice packs in the injured area 15 to 20 minutes at a time, several times a day. First day, you're going to want to do this at least 6 to 8 times a day. Compress the area with the ACE bandage, and then elevate the area to keep the blood out so it minimizes the swelling. Now, this does not take the place of going to the hospital to get an x-ray. I tell everyone, listen, you don't know if you have a hairline fracture. You don't even know if you broke your ankle. I know people who've walked around a health club with a broken ankle. This will relieve some pain. This will get you started and get you to the hospital. This is not in lieu of going to the hospital. I always tell people, go get that x-ray. A hairline fracture, you cannot cure with the ACE bandage or the Rice method. If it's truly a sprain, you keep the swelling down, use your own judgment. I'm not trying to give you medical advice on when not to go to the hospital. I'm just telling you what you can do at home, alleviate some of the pain. I think most of us have experienced this where we've had ACE bandages. And they may even tell you, yeah, it's a bad sprain. And a bad sprain can hurt like a break. You may need to be on crutches for a week or 10 days, and just to keep the pressure off that till they heal properly. You won't need a cast, but you'll get it wrapped up, and they'll probably tell you, elevate it, ice it a few times a day. Going back to the Rice method of rest, ice, compression, elevation. Okay. So we've gone through a lot. Personal protective equipment. Summertime, we all like to be comfortable. I get that. Just you got to protect your body, and you got to really, I would suggest, and people laugh at me, I go, listen, it doesn't hurt to stretch out. There's an old saying in athletics, you can't work what doesn't move. Well, if you haven't been moving, you haven't been stretching out your body all winter, and most of us haven't. I mean, and especially the older you get. You know, I'm in my 60s now. I would like to think I work out like when I was in my 20s, but I do not. Not a bad idea, and nor do I recover as fast like some of us when we were in our 20s. So, not a bad idea to do some light stretching. And remember, when you're doing some stretching, don't bounce. Just gently stretch out your legs, or do some twists in your living room to move left and right. And you can up that with putting a broom handle or a bar behind you and just doing some twists just to loosen your body up. Think about it. If you went home tonight and you just took, I don't know, a pencil or a paintbrush, you just held it up here, try doing that for 15, 20 minutes. See how you feel. You're going to get sore, your tricep, your shoulders. Well, that's what we're going to do to our bodies for hours in the yard. And I know we lose track of time, especially if it's windy out, going back to sunburn for a minute. If it's windy out, you may be burning and you don't even know you're burning. It's called windburn. So what happens is we go in the house, oh, it's kind of cloudy, it's windy, I don't need sunscreen. Always use sunscreen when you're outside. You can get sunburned through the clouds. You can certainly get sunburned through the clouds when it's windy out. It'll cool your skin off until you go inside. You may look down and go, oh, this is red, or more importantly, the back of your neck's going to be red. And then you'll need to address the sunburn. Okay. Well, that brings us to the tip of the day. Something I do, my buddies laugh, but they all do it. Always I'm an advocate of keeping these surgical dressings, Band-Aids, in the shed in a small bag. We all have an old white t-shirt hanging around the house. Wash it. It's going to be our sacrificial t-shirt. All we're going to do is we're just going to cut it down the middle. And then we're going to cut it down the middle again. And that's it. 2 clean, sterile rags on us when we're doing our yard work. Throw in your back pocket. Keep it on, keep it on you. Don't throw in the dirt. When you're covering a cut or an injury, you always want to use something clean. That's why we don't use the rags, the dirty rags that have been in the shed all winter, or we check the oil in a lawnmower. This way, if you get a cut, you can just wrap it around. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's a temporary fix. Tie it up. Apply pressure. Now I'm applying pressure to the cut. It's clean and sterile. When I go to put a bandage on, I'll use some kind of antiseptic, bacitracin, any antiseptic. Make sure there's no dirt. Make sure there's no rocks, pebbles, twigs in there. And then you'll have something where you're not bleeding all around your house with, or in your yard, or in your pants, trying to find bandages if you didn't have them. And if it's really bad, then you can have a person roll it up and just tie it on like a compression bandage and bring it to the hospital. And just wrap it around and just tie it onto itself like that. Remember, pressure and time will stop bleeding. And hopefully you don't have a serious bleed, cut where you're going to be bleeding constantly. But that's something I do. I have a bunch of these in my back pocket when I'm mowing the lawn, doing whatever, even mowing the lawn. If I think it's going to be a simple day mowing the lawn, when all of a sudden I see branches, something's not right, I stop the lawnmower. Now all of a sudden, I'm back in the yard where I didn't think I'm going to be, and there it is. Fall on a rock, hit my elbow, whatever. I have the things I need at hand, ready to go. All right, well, I hope this helps some of you, and I hope you all are safe this year and avoid and the exact number was, I hope all you avoid the 143,000 people that are injured badly enough to require a trip to the emergency room doing yard work in the average summer in America. Well, good luck out there. I want to thank Chris Harvey for all his help today. And of course, my wife, who gave me advice on what to do and what to bring. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it. I'm sure Michelle Lopez is in the background somewhere helping out with some editing. So thank you, Michelle. And I'll see you next time.